To me or no? Can they hear me?
You're on.
Oh, okay. Hi everybody. I put this symbol here, this I am, just in thought a little bit of. I think it's important that we're always kind of looking at ourselves and look at each other to realize who we can be that day, the best that we can be. And I just want to reference to that point of just always asking yourself, who are you today? Who are you going to be tomorrow, right? All right, so here I am. Hi, guys. My name's Lee. So nice to be here. Thank you very much. Oh, is the main screen? Oh, there I am. Okay.
There you are.
Well, hello. So I thought this virtual thing, I've never done it before, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you very much, everyone, by the way. And I hope you'll enjoy yourself. I felt a lot of pressure because I was thinking about an hour getting that cooking in. But then I think Kirsten said, you're going to get it all done in an hour. So I got the feeling she's putting a little pressure on me. I'm not sure if I can. But I'm going to try to keep it paced, okay? And I want to share some thought with you a little bit. And then we'll just wrap it up, and I hope everybody enjoys themselves. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. I hope you all had a great day. And if you didn't, just remember that we're all here right now in a special moment, just sharing our lives together. It's pretty cool, right? So today, I thought I'm going to make an eggplant lasagna. Is anybody, or perhaps you know what the eggplant is? The eggplant actually got its name from the fact that it looks like an egg. And you may say, well, kind of, right? But they're actually in Europe where they originated, or at least got that name. They're a different color there. They're not this purple wine color. They're more of a white color, and they're shaped larger than a goose egg. So that's why they call it the eggplant, right? So that's kind of neat. I thought that was. The eggplant comes from the nightshade species or family when it comes to plants. It's pretty cool. They also call it the Solanaceae. That is kind of the correct terminology to it. But the simplicity for me is that nightshade family plant. One of the things that are other plants that come from here is actually the potato, or for some of you, potato, and then also chili peppers, tomato, or again, tomato, and then petunias, believe it or not, and also tobacco come from the same family of the nightshade family. So the eggplant also, believe it or not, you might not notice, it has many healthy things to it, but it also can be, if you're not careful, it can hurt you. It's got toxins in it. Though all those plants and things I talked about before, the tobacco and the tomato and the potato, they all also have that alkaloids, which are toxins, and sometimes can have sulfur and many other things that can be harmful to you. So you want to be careful of that, but it's not the actual plant or the fruit or vegetable that it is. It's the flower or the vine or the stem that'll make you sick. So I hope everybody can feel a little bit better just knowing that you can eat that eggplant, okay? I take this part off and not even try to attempt with eating it, just to be safe precautions, okay? The eggplant is high in fiber. It's also low in calories. So then, of course, we can get great weight loss out of that. Another thing, if you ever notice, in the eggplant is that it's kind of spongy in texture. And that also helps us in the weight loss, because when we digest it, it actually expands in our tummy. We don't eat that much, but we feel full. So it's going to digest quickly because of the fiber. And it's also going to kind of play with our head a little bit. Just instead of us choosing to eat a lot, we're going to feel like we did. All right. It's also got blood sugar control. It helps with that as well. So that's a good thing. Now, the question can be sometimes, is the eggplant, is it a vegetable or is it a fruit, right? And I looked at some references, and a lot of times they would just say it's a vegetable when using cooking terms, I guess. But the actuality is it's a fruit. But we're going to go a step further, and we're going to actually call it a berry. And that's the correct definition if you want to be detailed to that a little bit. And what that does is, what qualifies something as a berry is that it has to have 3 tough skins or fleshy skins within its being or body. So you have this outside with the purple part we talked about. It's kind of fleshy. You can kind of pull on it and stuff, right? So it's fleshy. And then you also have the middle area, and then where the seeds are, and that as well. Now the out part, because it's the exterior, it's called the exocarp, and then the middle, which is right on the outside of the skin, that is actually called the mesocarp. And then the inside is the endocarp, and that's where the seeds are again, and you have the middle, okay? So that's just some neat information about eggplant. I guess we got to start cooking, right? So we're going to do that right now. And if you want to switch the camera real quick, Kirsten, that'd be great. Okay. All right, so I'm going to bring out a pan here. That's not really the one we need, but we're going to use this one because we're going to use two. The first thing we need is, when we're making a eggplant lasagna, are two things. We need sauce and we need noodles. The cool thing about this one is there are no noodles. The eggplant lasagna is actually going to be noodle free, and it's also going to be gluten free. So that's awesome, right? Makes us feel a little bit healthy, and I talked about a lot of the health benefits as well. So I'm going to turn this one on right here, this pot, and I'm going to turn it up to kind of a higher nature, and I'll put some olive oil in there. This is some olive oil I've got, and I put it in these small containers, which used to consist of wheatgrass, but they were small and they're handy in this particular situation, okay? So I've got some olive oil in there. Then I like to use garlic. Now this garlic is in oil. You can take an garlic clove. I'm big on fresh herbs. You can see some of the ingredients here, but I like the garlic and oil. So I'm gonna let that get hot a little bit in the pan here, right? And let that cook up a little bit. And while that's going, we want that to be, you throw it in the garlic with the oil, it's not bad, but it's kind of fun if you can start browning it fairly quick. Let it hit the pan simmering or sizzling, as opposed to just kind of waiting to cook, right? All right, because that kind of sears it a little bit when we do it. This is a yellow pepper. I'm gonna put a yellow pepper into this a little bit. And I ran out of time a little bit, so you have to forgive me. I'm gonna cook it in front of you guys a little bit, okay? But I like yellow pepper because it's kind of sweet, right? You know, the green, for me personally, it does have great flavor, and that's the most common one everyone likes. But for me, the green pepper gives me a little bit, it makes me kind of belch or burp a little bit. So I kind of stay away from it through the years. I tend to like the yellow and the orange, but that's not everybody. That's just me, right? All right, so now I got some yellow pepper, and then I'm gonna do the onion. Just get some onion. All right, so we got the onion going. You never know what kind of onion you get. Sometimes they're usually kind of juicy. If you keep them in the refrigerator a lot, they'll dry out, so they won't have such a juice to them. But if you take a look at this one a little bit, or how can you see that right there? Yeah, this one's pretty juicy actually. But I was faking the crying, okay? It wasn't real. All right, so let's see if this oil's getting a little bit hot. Yep, you can just tell the way it thins out a little bit in there. Hear that? Pretty cool, right? Working a little bit. See that in there a little bit, that garlic? Just stir it around so it gets some good oil on it right away, right? And we're gonna throw those peppers in there. Yum, yum. I'm gonna let those go. I'm gonna try to catch up with this onion, okay? Fell behind a little bit, but not really. All right, so I cut this onion real quick. Hope everybody had a great day today, by the way. I did. I was nervous as heck doing this thing because I never really done I don't know, where you just do this thing on your own, right? But I hope you can support me through the way, and we'll all enjoy a little night together tonight. All right, so bam, bam, bam. You always cut along the edges of the way the onion flows, right? Kind of shortens your time of cutting for that if you can. You turn it, right? And now because I've got all those lengths on there, there we go. Well, onion, I like mine a little bit chunky. I like my sauces a little bit chunky. And again, this is we're making the marinara sauce, or the red sauce, right?
So Lee, there's a question here about your measurements for the garlic and the amount of
Sure,
pepper,
okay,
the
you know
amount
what I
of
was
onion.
gonna suggest to you guys, if you wanna write them down, I'll backtrack. So if you wanna take a little time to grab something, I'll walk you through that thought pattern, okay? And we can backtrack a little bit.
Thank you.
So I would put about a good tablespoon and a half of olive oil. A little extra olive oil never is gonna hurt you, by the way, too, okay? And then I put about a tablespoon of the garlic. And as you can see, I use about, now I'm making a smaller lasagna, just so you know, okay? It's gonna feed about, I'd say 2 to 3, maybe 4 in one run. I don't like to make the big pan because then everybody just gets stuffed with like 3 days on it. I mean, sometimes even if it's good, right? All right, so we've got that in there now. What we wanna do is we wanna season everything up a little bit. So I'm gonna put some salt in here. For me, I like kosher salt because it's just rocky and I don't know, something about it. Once it hits, it kind of breaks down a little bit. But I also like sea salt. So what I do is I add sea salt because it's thinner and fine, and then the kosher salt. So I feel like I get the best of both worlds when I do that. Okay. Then I got a little bit of my pepper, and again on peppers, I like a little bit of a coarse pepper. Okay, a grounded pepper, or one that's a little more coarse. Okay. All right, so we're gonna let that cook up a little bit. We're in good shape pretty much here. I might add a little more onion because I think the onions are always good. You can't go wrong using too much onion. So we got a half an onion and half yellow pepper, right? Or the pepper that you like. You might like that green pepper. So what the heck, do that. All right, so we're hitting that in there now, right? All right. Getting fun. We're cooking, that's for sure. All right, so I'm gonna put a little more oil in there. Swirl it around, right? This is where I use fresh herbs. I've got oregano, okay? I'm gonna mix those in. And when you have the oregano like that, you can just pull it off there. Like just take it backwards and you kind of scale the plant a little bit, or the stem. This is basil, and I thought I'd show that to you too. And I know some of these things I'm gonna show you, you're gonna go, oh yeah, I already knew that. Well, fair enough, but some of you might not, and what the heck, right? Okay, so this is the basil leaf. And if it's brown, don't worry about it at all, because a lot of people use dry, and that's all just brown basil anyway. It still has a lot of flavor to it. But if you curl it up like that, then you can kind of cut it in strips, and again, it makes it a little bit easier. See? You might turn it back and cut it one more time, but in general, you're going to be able to just cut your fresh herbs a little bit quicker that way, at least when it comes to the basil. Right? All right. We're cooking pretty good here now. I'm going to turn it down a little bit, but I think we're doing good. I'm going to add some tomato paste. Now, I like organic stuff, so this is organic tomato paste. You don't need much of this because there's a lot of acidity to it, okay? So you put that in there like that. In pretty good shape. We're going to stir that around just so it kind of melts a little bit, right? Because it's a thick agent, right? That paste. That's why it's so condensed all together, and it just makes it more, that's that acidity I talked about. I think that's why it's so easy to get together like that, because of that acidity. Ooh, that looks really good now.
So
right?
Lee, that was about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste?
No, I would say just a tablespoon of tomato paste would
Okay.
be good.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep, you bet. Okay, and then I'm going to put 3 tomatoes in here. Nope, 2 tomatoes, okay? What I did want to bring up to you is, see these tomato tops? Don't be lazy on it. Work around it. There's money. It's also, hey, it's part of the head of the tomato. He's yummy and delicious too, okay? So don't forget about him. All right, now we're going to mix this up a little bit. We're doing pretty good here now, right? All right. So what does everybody think so far? Everything looks pretty good?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. What I like to do too sometimes, It depends. I brought it along, but I'm not gonna just for the show today. But I actually really like adding a little bit of red wine. Because a lot of times when people make a red sauce, they'll sometimes add sugar. And sugar is good. I like sugar in there, but it's just not as healthy, right? So when you use a red wine, you're gonna get more of that sweetness of the grape, but the sugar that's added to it anyway. So there is sugar in there. It's a little more, combined together a little more. I like it. It's concentrated again, right? Okay. So we're gonna cook with this pan pretty soon. We got our sauce cooking, right? That's all done. So we're gonna warm up this pan a little bit. We're gonna use some olive oil again. Now the thing is with this, we're gonna get to the, I'm just gonna warm up the oil just a little bit. Just gonna get it warmed up. But we gotta do our eggplant now, right? So while that's cooking, a little bit more oil, I think there. I would probably, don't feel bad if it's coated with oil. When you cook, you can follow recipes and you're almost always going to knock it out. But if you cook something too long, you might lose that body consistency that you're looking for. And sometimes feel confident to try to add something to maybe thin something out. Or maybe just spice it up. Be brave, be bold. Try to make something where you can see what you like. And if you made a mistake, who cares, right? You'll know better for the next time. All right, so I'm going to take this away for a minute. Okay. I've got that stuff cooking, right? We talked about that. I kind of pictured doing that a different way, but I got all caught up in that cutting that onion and stuff, right? Okay, so now we got the eggplant, right? We talked about this a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna, just so you know, I'm gonna put a cover on this. We'll get some of that smoke out of our way, right? Or the steam, and we'll kind of push it that way a little bit. We got the eggplant right here, right? Right here, right? Remember this guy, the berry? We talked about that. So we're gonna cut circles to have in our pan, to layer those in our pan, right? And we're gonna cut about 1/2 of an inch thick. Now I like the eggplant with the skin on. I like most vegetables or fruits with it, fruit. This, for sure, I think this is a vegetable, and I know now it's a fruit and it's a berry, or we don't know that, right? But I do like skin on it. I always feel like it's just better nutrition, and I actually like the skin in this particular dish because there's a little bit of a chewiness, not much at all, but there's a little bit of a chewiness to it. All right. So the eggplant can be a little bit pungent, right? It's just kind of like that in taste and flavor. So the key is when you work with this, you always want to put some salt that I talked about to marinate it. And you say marinate, what do you mean? Well, the salt, right? It's going to get inside this spongy texture, and it's going to open up the pores of the eggplant. And allow it to, if you look, and I'll show you, you got to let it sit for a 1/2 hour. And after you let it sit a 1/2 hour, you're going to be surprised that there's water coming out of it. One thing I want to talk about seasoning. Always make sure that you're acting like you're an artist, right? Every picture has a frame. So, put that pepper on there across all the way, right? There we go. So that looks pretty good, right? Then we're going to turn that over gently. All right, and then we're going to pepper these guys. I like a lot of pepper, I just do. I like a lot of flavor. All right, I don't think you can ever go wrong with too much flavor. Now here's that salt. So you got to look sometimes from an angle, right? You got to sometimes angle it a little bit. All right, we got salt on there now, so boom, we're looking good. Wonderful. All right. So that's our eggplant, but this is what I wanted to show you. This is after you have it for a 1/2 hour. You see that? Can you see the glaziness to it? Yes? I hope so. Okay?
Yes.
That's what you want it to look like. That's when you know you've got it in the right position, okay? Now, you might say to yourself, what I want to do is I want to flour this. I'm going to flour and bread this dish. Now you're saying, well, wait a minute, you said flour. I thought it was gluten-free. Well, it is gluten-free, okay? First of all, I want to talk about the eggs. These are organic eggs. Again, I like the organics, but especially, I don't know what it is, but with eggs, maybe because I eat more of them than anything, but I like trying to buy locally grown items. This one is in, I've never actually heard of it. It just sounds cool though. Wanawak, Wisconsin. Might be Wani. I think it's Wanawak, Wisconsin. But anyways, that's what we have here. We have those organic eggs from our local farmers, okay? But again, back to the flour. So what we're going to substitute is we're going to substitute almond flour. Fair enough? Okay? So all almond is it's lower in carbohydrates than flour. But almond flour, guess what it is? It's all just a bunch of granulated almonds with the skin off. So if you have a nut allergy, no way, you can't do it, right? But what I do like about it, and it's kind of good and bad, it's fatty. It's more fatty. It has a higher fat content. But what the heck, right? We're doing pretty good here anyways. And when you really think about fat, what does fat mean? Fat means yummy, right? So we've got the eggplant. We're letting it sit. It came out like that. And now we're going to do our cooking. We're going to fry it a little bit. And that's why I've got this pan working right here. And now I've got the eggplants. So I did these eggplants earlier so we can learn a little bit. Now remember, we're pan frying. We're not deep frying. But when you pan fry something like this, see how you can see the oil all around. You can see that a little bit? I'm trying to hit the light at times. It's almost like a little ocean, right? But there is dryness to that ocean. So you want to make sure you get it all. Now, when you're working with breading or of sorts, I like to put the egg first, then the flour. You want to hang on to the edges, especially with this kind of flour, because once the moisture gets to it, it kind of plays in. If you dust it off a little bit, look at that. That's a beauty, right? It looks pretty good, right? It's all around. And we're going to put it in this oil. Okay, hear that? Got a little sizzle going on, right? All right. So then we're going to do that to 4 of these. Bread it good. So what did we talk about? We talked about a half hour, salt, pepper, right? Now the other thing is sometimes when people work with breading, they'll flour first, then egg, then flour. Personally, I don't really like to do it that way when working with almond flour, just because it does have the higher fat content, right? So we don't want to just excuse ourselves from having that double texture to it or double flouring. Let's just do one. And quite honestly, I think I like the product a little bit better like this than that. But doing it that way has an advantage too, okay? So we got the oil. Now I'm going to turn this oil down a little bit. You know, if you've got a gas burner, you've got a benefit of having more consistency with the way you're burning or frying, light frying, deep frying, right? That's looking pretty good there. See that? Right? Looks good. All right, so we're going to circle it around a little bit. I still got it frying. Temperature is very, very important. We talked about breading. I'm going to remove this right now, okay? All right. Let's check our sauce. Yummy, right? Let me see. Yeah, look at that. Hey, another one that isn't bad to put in there is mushrooms. I think, you know, mushrooms are pretty good. I like mushrooms. I like crimini mushrooms personally. But the crimini oyster, mushroom, just so everybody knows, is a portobello mushroom, but it's a miniature. It's like the baby. It's a baby portobello, right? In case you didn't know that, now you do. All right, so we're warming these guys up. Looking pretty good. We're getting there now. All right. Now we're going to take this. That's our pan. All right. So we're just going to cook those guys up. We're going to start doing this here in a second. Kind of clean as we go, right? Always want to wash your hands frequently when you're cooking, even if it's for yourself, right? The bacteria it spreads pretty quickly, right? And it's not just that it can make you sick, it can just add flavors to different things. All right. Woo, yeah, looking good. Look at that one. So this one's done. All right, both sides. Let's check this one out. Bingo. Now, you know what? Also with eggplant, I like cooking it, I mean, cutting it a little thicker. A lot of people would prefer to probably be cooking it more, a thinner one, or taking the skin off as we talked about. But that's just, again, my preference. It's no big deal, okay? All right, so we're letting that warm up a little bit. We're gonna start using this. I've got my oven now at 350-degree temperature, okay? So that's going 350. I've already preheated it, so it's ready to go. I'm just gonna start with the eggplant, and why don't we just go for it, right? All right, so here's the sauce. Put a little bit on bottom. Look at that, man, that's awesome. Look, it's got some fresh herbs in there, chunky tomatoes. You can see the yellow pepper as well, right? All right, we're gonna take this guy off here. Ooh, I cooked them a little too much. Well, what you can do is, see, I cooked them a little bit, but because it's almond flour, you can kind of sometimes get that off a little bit. It's not too bad though. Let me just I'll take a knife just to be sure, because I'm a little sensitive to that being, we'll just cut that guy off. Look at the texture to the eggplant. See, it's all cooked there, but there's a middle that's just moist and soft, right? So it's not raw, but it's not overcooked. So it's just got, we're at the right temperature for how to cook that, right? Okay. All right, so now we got the sauce in here, and we're gonna now layer these yummy eggplants, right? We've got those guys all done, and we're gonna put them in here. So we're not gonna put too much cheese all around, just to make sure that we're gonna put the cheese on the top. And again, because we're trying to think healthy a little bit, right? But we want to just try to, it's going to have great flavor with all that sauce in there, right? Try to use a little one over here, right? Maybe another little one, right? All right, now we got sauce again. Woo, man, this is going to be good, huh? You guys mouth watering over there? All right, then we're going to go a little bit more, I think.
All right. I'm smelling it, Pops.
You know what? I probably lost half the audience already. Everybody's going, oh boy. All right, so now I'm going to put the eggplant on there again. And I think with this one, well, I'm going to just go for it. Yeah, it looks good. This is that guy I talked about. See, he's not too bad on that side. Got a little bit of brown, but sometimes you can smell it too, just to make sure that you don't smell burnt. You know, if you're concerned or you're questioning, you'll smell it, right? We all know what something burnt smells like, right? All right, so then we're going to put more sauce in here. Woo, man, it's got this, I think, just right. Get that, huh?
Can I ask a question? What you're cooking?
Sure. What am I cooking?
Yeah.
This is eggplant lasagna.
Eggplant lasagna.
Mm-hmm.
By the way.
Pardon me? All right. I like a lot of cheese here, so I'm going to do it with one layer, and I'm just going to give it one good one for just good measure, right?
Okay.
All right, so now I'm going to put it in the oven at 350. All right, so we've got that going. And why don't we switch screens real quick, okay? Great. Well, first of all.
Hey, Lee, before you go too far, there's
Yeah.
a question of what kind of cheese did you use?
Oh, provolone cheese.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, a lot of times you can use, there's a lot of different Italian cheeses. Mozzarella is usually the most common. I, again, kind of like a little bit of that. It's a little of a firmer cheese. Yeah, I think provolone offers a real nice dish on this, for sure. But, you know, don't ever, again, it kind of goes to that thing of, that's what's fun about cooking, is that you can be experimental and you can try different things, right? All right, so what I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit about we've got 15 minutes right now. I think we're right on schedule, okay? Somebody got it on mute?
We got a little, I accidentally muted everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and mute them again.
Ooh, my mouth is watering.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
So you can unmute, you're still muted, Lee, sorry. You can unmute yourself.
Am I muted now?
Now you're good.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for putting up with me up to this point, okay? But I hope you had fun learning a little bit, just some ideas, but I always want to encourage you. It's like an artist, you know, that's what's cool about it, right? But don't ever feel like you too can't be an artist or go out of bounds sometimes. And there's no right or wrong to it because you're the artist, okay? So that's what I tell myself at least. So one of the things I was thinking about when I showed you that sign earlier was the I am, right? And I thought sometimes I use words to maybe express to myself to be aware of words I want to be, or sometimes I wonder what about that word, right? So I was thinking about the word kindness, and I looked it up a little bit to understand it a little more clear. And it talked about being friendly. It talked about being concerned. It talked about being generous, warm, and gentle. Do you feel that you're doing that act of kindness? Not just to others, but most importantly to yourself? Because if you do those things to yourself, you'll probably be giving that to other people too, wouldn't you? The general idea, I think, of kindness is care, right? And really think about it. Don't you want someone to care for you, you know? And I think that sometimes we have to be careful of being selfish, though, even though we want that. But if we just choose to be kind, we might receive that right back at that moment. I know we will. Don't you? I don't know. You know, sometimes people can look at the word kind as being naive or maybe even weak. But quite honestly, I believe it requires strength and courage.
Totally agree with you.
Well, thanks. So I wanted to ask everybody a little bit while we're waiting for this to cook. Is it hard to find kindness? Anybody want to comment?
I think if you show kindness to other people, you'll get it in return.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Did you take time, if you reflect on today, were you kind? Or were you challenged? And when you were challenged, did you choose to be kind, or did you forget about kindness? I don't know. I'm challenged all the time, you know. I always try staying focused, but sometimes I realize I just missed that tool, right? That gift of kindness.
In the end, kindness always wins.
Right on. How do you feel about the world? Is the world kind to you? Are you being kind to the world, right? And certainly if we're kind to each other, well then the world would just be a better place, right? Our life would be full of kindness. I'm gonna look at what I cooked. Anybody got any questions at all? Cooking or about kindness? Or you know what? You can share something that happened today about kindness. You might say, hey, I just want to tell you. Or you might say, you know what? This happened to me and I could have used some kindness there.
I'm just gonna say that Natalie got me to watch your video today, so I thought it was very kind of her. Seeing me cooking.
Nice.
You hear what he's saying, there's an accent.
Hey, don't forget mute, right? Thanks for sharing that, by the way, Marshall. But you know, Natalie, you coming on to watch was very kind, right? It's an act of kindness. Yeah, thanks for being here, all of you, for sure. I'm going to look at this real quick and we'll see what happens, okay? Woo! Oh yeah, looking good. All right, let's give it about 5 more minutes, okay? Anybody got anything else they want to share?
I think during this period, you see a lot of kindness because we're all in this together. And you see some not kindness, but I'm hoping that this is going to start to unify the world. These are all worldwide problems and they have to be handled globally. We're one mankind on one earth. And hopefully this horrible virus will help mankind realize that.
I hope so. You know, the sad thing is it's great that it woke us up, but we just got to all do our part, right? I mean, we shouldn't need that to make sure we're practicing kindness. But let's all hope so. I certainly do. Thanks. That was great feedback.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have anything you would like to share?
I'm doing that already, I think. Yeah.
Well, great job today.
Pardon me?
Great job today.
Oh, hey, thanks. All right, so let me grab this out of the oven.
I think me and you can be a good cook partner.
Look at that, huh? Look at the edges there.
Lee, that looks killer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then wait, hang on. So always remember, but whenever I talk about fresh herbs, right? Because it's an Italian dish, kind of, right? It's lasagna, but a little bit of a modified. But you know what? I don't know. Did Italians use eggplant? I think they did. Seems like they did. But more, I think they use garlic and parsley more than anything, right? But anyways, they always like cheese and salami. All right, so guess what herb this is? Does anybody know? Anybody want to guess?
I'm going for parsley because you just talked about it.
Bing, 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 bing. Nice. All right. So I like to just sprinkle a little bit of, this is an Italian parsley. And I like Italian parsley because it's a little more flowery, right? It's not so defined. This has a little more, that's maybe a little too much, maybe, right? Not too bad. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's get that little corner over here. Get that little edge right there. Boom, boom. Ow! Look at that. Yummy. Okay.
First thing,
Now,
switch the camera.
oh, we got the, do I have my camera on there? Right? Oh, you got the camera on here or no?
No.
Oh, so remember, that's how we started, right? What are we today, right? Today, eggplant parmigiana, right? And tonight, if we can, or tomorrow, just as a group, right? Let's remember to be kind.
Kindness.
All right? I want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity. What a pleasure. What a privilege it is. Eggplant parmesan. No, lasagna. Good night, everyone, okay? And I want to say thank you again for just being part of my day.
Thank you. Lee.
Grazie.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Thank you so much, Lee.
Thank
This
you.
has been fabulous. And I look forward to seeing other, we have other cooking classes coming up. We have one coming up in a couple of weeks. Maybe it's next week, and then one in June. So lots happening, and really glad that you all made it. And clearly there, Lee has a lot of love in his life.
Yeah.
Not only our Gilda's Club family, but also his family who are here as well. So thank you all so much, and keep an eye on the calendar, and great seeing everybody, and we will see you all soon. Take care.
Kirsten.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.